Been moved and second, it's, under a second.
Just please remember to speak. Never mind, turn it up first.
That's fine. If you just plug it in, it's ready to go, I just undid the plug so it wouldn't feedback. There you go, that'll work, it's all on. So. Thanks, that was my fault.
That's great, you can do what you did.
So
Back to the-
Joyce made the motion and I will second it.
It's been moved and second to approve the minutes of the May 30, 17, 23 meeting. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we're going to open up the 2024-25 budget for continued discussion. I would like to note that Kim has included in part of our budgeting process that we'll be discussing later this evening, the hiring of a full-time planner, and this evening is in the purple portion here, so.
I gave you an updated copy of the payroll allocations, the personnel allocations, that was separate when you came in. That includes the planner, but obviously if the ultimate decision is not to have the planner be an employee, that would get removed in the adjustments.
Okay, so, where do we wanna begin? Should we just go back to the harbor? We did get through harbor and the, was it the wastewater treatment plant?
Yeah, it was everything after the harbor, or the harbor and anything later, so harbor, Morocco, sewer and water.
Madam Mayor, can I ask a question on previous to that?
Sure.
Tim, on page number 5 of 31, there is a line item for land use permit fees that has a $1 bucket.
I took that away, I thought I took that away.
So it's just going away,
Because right now, they're saying that they already eliminated that program, so this is gonna give it a battle if we decide to fight it. Now they're not gonna give us any,
so this isn't the county one, this is,
oh, did I?
this is the land, our
My
land
apologies,
use.
it's, that was a mistake, 'cause sometimes when I click, my calculator doesn't come up right away, so I start clicking before I realize it. Let me give you the older, I'll tell you what it is. Okay, let me give you that one. The actual number that should be in there is. I hope, I caught other ones when they did that, but not.
What day was
Okay.
that?
Okay, administration, that should actually be,
It's on page 5 of 31.
thank you, I've got the actual typed it up in front of me, so let me, it should be, 16,854, excuse me, that is.
That's the actual.
Yeah, 25,000.
25,000.
We, after talking here from Kit today, there's a lot of activities gonna be happening on Hills and River Watch, so,
How much longer is he with us?
to the end of July.
So I'm having trouble with multiple copies of budgets. So which is this third page from 5 of 31 from?
So that was on the memo that came out.
Today?
No, this would have been on the email that was dated.
I'm looking at the website, is it on the website?
Don't refer to that, we haven't done the changes to that, just go what I sent you via email.
16th, I think is where it was, yeah.
So it's not June 18th?
Well, June 18th, there were some changes.
Those were just a few, those things today were just one change to the transit room tax thing.
Yeah.
Everything else was sent about a week ago.
So we're working off the 31 page. The 31 is not. Another.
What is the date,
I don't know
So
the date that it was
it-
sent, because I don't have my email, but it's the one with 31 pages and lots of yellow.
It was dated 6/11.
It says, the one that I'm looking at, that's 31 pages, says June 18th on the top of it.
Yes,
That was the dated
that's
one.
the packet that I sent you guys last week. That's this one.
This is-
You're the right one.
Okay.
You're the right one.
18th is the correct one.
Yes,
Okay.
you're the right one. When you said the 18th, I was thinking you meant I sent it out today, but you mean for the meeting today.
Yeah,
The
so
packet I
it was
sent
sent on
last week for
6/11.
the meeting today is the correct one. This packet actually is on the website. It is there. I made sure it was up there just today.
All right, we'll go back to the harbor on page 20 then. Kim, I'm still confused, fuel cells,
I've been focusing on some of this other stuff that I have not given you the fuel cells information. If you would like, I will get that for you before the budget is adopted. It's very close. We're not making any money on fuel cells.
I actually looked that up because I asked the same question. We've got $220,000 for the expense, and the income figure was $225,000. So there was a $5,000, and it's somewhere else in here. Is that the same?
The income on fuel, what we're receiving on sales, we received 214,000 this year. I put 220,000 in the budget.
Mhm.
And then we have expended 208,825. So I just threw a number in there, 225. If you notice, we're awfully close. We're really close. We're not making any money on fuel. Not enough anyway, which we're not really supposed to, but we're supposed to cover our costs.
May I ask a question about that, Mayor?
yes.
Why are we not supposed to make money?
Cities aren't in the business to make income.
Where is that written?
That's
In
just
state law.
the standard in the ORS. I don't know what the ORS.
We're an enterprise city here, we have to make money on everything
I'm
we
not
do.
saying we don't make money, we make enough money to cover our costs, that's our responsibility as government agencies.
But we don't cover our costs if we're making the same on fuel cells.
I get it, no arguments there.
Wait, because we have staff costs
Mm-hmm.
and that's not included. If it's fuel sales and fuel purchase and they're the same, we're losing money.
Oh, absolutely. And
So we need to budget as if we are charging the appropriate cost.
we're charging the cost that we have, which includes a minor charge for employment, for wages. We haven't changed our fuel price, it's still the same as it is. Now, what we have had happen recently is we've had people bringing their tanks down. They're putting fuel tanks in the back of their trucks and fueling from our dock, but they're fueling their boats from their tanks.
Well, that's
So
because our gas is cheaper than getting it anywhere else,
our gas is more expensive than getting anywhere
than
else.
getting diesel down in Newport.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we hear it all the time. All the time our gas is too expensive.
So we should just get rid of it.
Can I ask a question of Brady? So when the truck comes in and loads up the gas in the big tanks,
Right,
and I assume that we have a price per gallon when that happens?
so,
And then what?
so you're talking
change
about
the-
when we purchase, the city purchases fuel from Carson,
Right,
right? They bring a tanker truck and pump and fill our tank, our main tank with diesel and gas.
okay.
Okay, and then they send us a bill.
We
for
get the
that.
bill,
So
it
we get
gets
the bill.
inputted in a spreadsheet.
After the fact, like,
Well, and then there's a formula we use to figure out the cost, so the cost isn't always the same, but the formula is the same, unless we change that. And that's a study that was done a few years ago, probably before COVID, I remember Kathy looked at this stuff, but they did a pretty rigorous study of what we were charging at the time, and it was considerable, it was almost twice what we were charging. So, we heard a lot of flack at the
Where are you still
time.
getting on the back? That's why I
But still,
said-
we're still just a little bit under that, we're still just a little short, we're not quite there, but
And do
there's
we,
this finite line.
do we not have to carry special insurance for that whole environmental potential issue over there?
I spoke to our insurance agent and she said those folks are usually covered for this. She has not had any concerns about the size of the tanks people are using.
No, I'm talking about just us as a city having fueling
Yeah,
facility.
We have a
our
feeling,
underwriter
yeah.
does
Yeah.
charge us
I don't know what
enough to cover the DEQ spill response, and things like that.
Yeah, so whatever that is, we need to factor that into the cost of our fuel. How do
Oh,
we,
yeah.
how do we pay out the state taxes and the federal taxes? Are those?
I think you need to have a bigger workshop on this, because if we start factoring in all that, the fuel price is gonna go skyrocket.
Yeah, I'm
And which
concerned,
is going to cause a lot of issues with the fuel tax.
and I'm like, why are we in the fuel business at all?
You
Why
would
don't?
not
we
make
get
us
rid of it?
unhappy if we got out of it.
We're the only municipality in the United States that sells
We would
fuel
be very
to the
happy to
public.
get out of the fuel business, it's too much stress and
I
trouble.
think we,
I used to think it was
the
Oregon,
council
we
needs to
checked
have a
Florida,
discussion
we
because-
checked California, we're the only municipal fuel cell.
But from what I understand, and you guys have been here a lot longer than me, can probably speak to this, but wasn't there a point where there was talk about turning the fuel to seeing if the captains or somebody wanted to take it over, but
Yeah,
it fell apart?
Turn it into, lease the space to some
We
private
looked
entity that
into a
wants.
co-op,
And it fell apart because Carson said we don't make enough, or they wouldn't
Yeah.
make enough?
they wouldn't, it would be a cost on them, and right now they've got the city
We don't have.
pumping the fuel for them.
So it's a large work session discussion, so we're pretty, yeah,
So
But
I
there's a
just,
lot of great ideas for that, like a co-op,
yes.
like farmers do.
So I just have a question on the budget as it's presented for that. So we're bringing in, so for the actual, so page 20 and 21, so the actual, we have 214, 238 for revenue, the expenses are 208. So the revenues are more than the expenses, but we budgeted revenue less than expenses.
I thought they were about 225.
No, they're not.
It's, can be whatever number you want, it's not gonna be that much different. I can go to
Because right now we are.
I can go to 230 on the proposed.
As far as income?
Yeah. On page, what is it, 20? Whatever you guys feel like you are comfortable with.
Yeah, it's 20 and 21.
Of course, I can't do it from here, because that's a PDF.
The other one that follows that same line of thought is the electricity. You know, we've got $6,200 worth of revenue, but we've got $10,000 worth of cost. So it's like, you know, we need to figure out what we're doing there because we're not making the money to cover the cost.
Electricity has changed, because if you recall from those, when we did the harbor ordinance and the mortgage, all of that now is included in the mortgage holding. So electricity, the only things that will be getting billed are like the bigger boats. So, what that's gonna reflect in our revenue yet, it will probably slow less because it won't have its own line item.
So we should just remove those line items, is that what you're saying, or are you saying?
I don't know that we wanna remove, first, we can't remove line items, I can make it 0, but I mean, if we get more income, that's fine, but if we, so we can make it 0. But I don't know if, we will get income from electricity on the big boats, but I don't know how much it'll be.
So the revenue is, for that part of it, is buried elsewhere in the mortgage, is that what you're saying? So that's why it's less.
Right, and remember, the electricity, that surcharge is the mortgage electricity, but anywhere else you see, like in electricity and utilities, is separate, it's not the same thing. There's addition, it's not just mortgages, we pay for the harbor and everything like that. So, what is the group's pleasure about recommending just take it to 0, and if we get income, yay, and if we don't, we're good?
Well, I'm not, if you're telling us that there's gonna be an income from the big boats, then I think we should put something in there.
Okay, there will be income, I just don't know what it is.
They just need to match each other, I mean, we don't wanna show on the budget that we're giving away electricity.
Where are you,
Electric surcharge on page 20,
Yeah.
and then the electric cost is on page 21 under harbor maintenance electric.
Okay, so that is not the same thing.
Okay, so
Electric costs includes lighting the harbor, the lights at the end of the docks, the office.
so that $10,000 number includes the $6,200 at first.
It does not.
Okay, so where is the
Is it under
charge for the
utilities?
$6,200?
Look for Central Lincoln PUD.
Yes, it would come under Central Lincoln.
Well, that's up above at 19.5.
Right.
So it's the same problem. We've got a bigger expense number than we have a revenue number. if the electricity is under central Lincoln PUD and they're charging us 19.5 to power the boats on their docks, then we have a
Surcharge.
problem with the revenue side of that.
Didn't you just say that's for the lights and everything?
I did say that was for the lights and
Yeah,
everything.
but then there's another line.
That's not just the boats,
Okay, so-
that's everything.
So then what's the electrical line? So now we've got 29,500 down underneath harbor. There's a 19.5 under central Lincoln PUD, and there's electrical under harbor maintenance. Is that just, what, is that light bulbs and new fixtures?
Oh, that's any maintenance work on electrical. That's why it's under maintenance. It's
Okay.
like last year, and we probably won't have this issue, but they have to redo a lot of pedestal repairs
Yeah,
when we have a new broke, but
breakers and meters. and-
I expect we're going to have those as well.
Yeah, we've had folks try to use the pedestals as welding units, like plug several, anyway, it's a long story,
So,
but they're tore up.
I don't think it'll be an issue in the past, but if we want, I can just say electrical repair on docks or at harbor.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then I'm okay with the numbers the way they are because we do have to power the place down there beyond the boats. So it would be logical to do more.
It's not cheap though.
And did you make a change to the restrooms in a different document?
This same document, the restroom should actually be under TRT.
So this would be moved
The
out.
expenses are just, the lease expenses in there, the estimate is just for supplies. I did not put supplies, all of it, because I can't suss out what are for regular people, what are for, I mean, I could probably do a percentage, but I just thought just the lease expense, which was called out by the attorney, that would be good to charge there, so that's why and that's why it says lease expenses with Mark and Robinson, because I combined the two. And we do a lot of supplies.
And so in the TRT funds, what was in front of us today,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
so 42 and 55 is not in the harbor fund. The harbor
Correct.
fund is just the, material.
Correct. And any repairs we have to do, which hopefully, well, Robinson, or Doc said we haven't had to do much, oops, I just realized that's nothing.
Okay, are there any other questions on the harbor? Should I move on to wastewater then? I think that one was pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, the only question I had, Mayor,
Yes.
regarding the wastewater is, we have another increase coming here in July. And it seems, funny to me that our budget is less than what our to-date number is if we're gonna do an increase.
I haven't adjusted that since we did that, so, we could definitely put in, see where we're at right now, I can update it. You know, cause we're at 795 last year, we were at 650, okay, 795, so I can fix that to make it make more sense, but I don't have the numbers in front of me. And Diane's here, I can have her run the numbers real quick.
And then I was also curious, and it's for tonight's meeting as well, but
Like this.
the Glenning Beach contract,
Yes.
why is it substantially less than last year? We're already at 187 and we budgeted 170.
Because there were some capital things that, there were some, the way it works, some percentages of things would go to Glenny, and things like I don't go to Glenny. He's been doing a lot on I, these failures don't go on Glenny. So
But
we're
that's-
spending more, but they're
That's
spending
a pool
less.
number, right? So that's
Glenn,
different.
I is not a pool number,
Yeah,
Yeah,
unless
it-
we work on the main.
unless we work on the main. So if I is in there, but if he works on the main line, that's when it goes under there. But he's been doing a lot of work not on the main line, so that I is all ours. So it's hard to estimate how much they do, and they've actually, I looked at the numbers after, and because there's still some capital projects we're still outstanding, these numbers will change a little bit because we still haven't gotten final bills in, but generally, they're gonna be a little less this year, fiscal 23-24 as well.
I guess my question is do we have enough money budgeted there so that we don't have to come back and do a supplemental budget to adjust this, because 170 is a substantial reduction from last year, or where we are today. And so if we're not planning to do what we did this year, next year, is that by design, or should we bump that number higher?
Let me bump up the Glen Eden Beach contract, but not the debt service, 'cause that's done.
Yeah, the debt service, it's,
How much are we gonna bump it up to?
I'll just go to, here, let me tell you here in a minute what the budget says.
Should probably do at least.
Well, let me see what I put in, I should have thought to update that, my apologies, because I did send them updated numbers.
and then I would just ask that, based on what was happening with the council meeting tonight on what he did, do we need to have a budget line item to do something there?
We're gonna have to reconvene the budget, after we make those decisions.
Okay. It's not just as easy to throw in a line item to say
Well,
we've got
good.
$20,000 or $30,000 to do that
Yeah.
project, and then we don't have to come back and reconvene.
That's true. Should we,
I wanna do the project in the first place.
Well, I'm kind of in agreement with you, but
We need to have
So
discussion.
we've already decided.
if we've got so if, and I could go either way, it just seems like an awful lot of work to reconvene a budget meeting for a line item for a project that we know is gonna have to happen or not happen, I guess. It's out there in the horizon, should we not budget for it?
Yeah.
Whether we choose to do it or not, we could argue this with the sheriff's contract as well. Do we choose to do it or not, that's up to the council to decide, but there's no reason to not include it in the budget. If the money is available in the budget, so that the council doesn't have to reconvene the budget committee to do that.
Do you have any professional services under wastewater? Can you see that, Karen? I'm not seeing.
I don't see any.
Well, just consulting engineering. But I don't have to put consulting and engineering, I can simply take away the engineering and just make it
Where is
consulting.
On page 24.
I'll just make it consulting and then we can bump it up. I don't know what this could be.
Where is it?
It's about in the middle of the page.
Oh, let's see. 100,000.
It's
Which we're going to need,
For the
probably,
wastewater,
possibly need for engineering.
for wastewater. So should we put engineering and?
Well, I'll just leave consulting.
Okay, alrighty. So should we add another 30,000 and make that 130?
That's the pleasure of the group.
Does that sound reasonable?
I would agree to that at this
Okay.
point.
Alrighty. Wastewater, okay, the rest of this is pretty much the enterprise fund. And Morocco, so.
I have the same question on the water fund.
Yes.
About
I'll fix
the
both of those, yeah.
water user fees are going down again when we have an increase coming in.
And, and also in addition, and I will admit that with all this focus on this other stuff, I have not gone back and looked at water like I should have. Because all of this other stuff, TRT and other things have been consuming a lot of time, and why aren't you working?
That would be on page
Yeah, I got it.
27.
I got it. I didn't know if you were telling somebody else, but I totally got it. It's just my spreadsheet, there it goes, it's acting weird. And especially, not just the fees going up, but especially, Hills and, Whale Watch and the townhomes, so. Now, the good news is that even if I don't budget high in revenue, if we come in high, we're fine, so. It's not one of those things where we come in over, we're bad.
Did we change something?
I'm changing it to $1 million,
What?
water revenue.
Water use fees?
Yeah, water user fees. And,
A silly question about the mini excavator.
mhm.
It's in the budget for water, but did I also see a mini excavator in the budget for parks?
Yeah, it's the total price of the excavator split between the funds, we do that with a lot of
Yeah,
equipment.
I just wondered if that's what.
Yeah, it's split between two.
And I bumped on back on wastewater, I don't know why I only had 170.87. I did look at what our budget is and, I went ahead and put 350 for their, Glendian Beach contract income. Because I think we'll probably get close to that, and I'm guessing I don't have the last payment from these guys. But we haven't done some of the big capital projects, they haven't come through yet, so some of the, when you look at Glendian's, and I gave you guys a draft of Glendian's budget that I sent to them, so I gave you that a couple of meetings ago. But that can show you, we probably won't hit that number because there will be things that we end up not needing to spend or what have you.
So what did you do there?
I went to on Glendian Beach contract, I went to 350.
For what's better? So in the future, first of all, I think we need, like line numbers so we can refer to it, on draft budgets, but these things keep on changing and I can't track it from one meeting to another and from, one set of documents to another. So if you just put 350 in now, or did you had sent out another document?
No, this is, the one you're working from is the most recent version, so I'm updating it as we talk about it. Here's my problem. You guys have been throwing a lot of things at me that we should have started months ago. So we will be starting in February next year. Because what's happening is you keep coming up with these ideas and things you wanna do at the last minute, and I'm doing the best I can to try to keep spinning my wheels to keep up and do this research. So we need to start early if this is gonna happen. And we didn't do this last year, this didn't happen last year, it's this year. So we need to make sure, I figure I'll start setting meetings up for the budget committee starting in February.
Mayor, could I also suggest that when we do that, that we break it into funds?
Yeah.
So that we talk about wastewater and whatever meeting we're just gonna talk about wastewater, and we talk about transient, and we talk about, because it's all over the board, it's hard and very difficult to follow.
I will be putting the budget together like this, you just print pages of what you wanna talk about. I mean, you can easily do that by printing, or just looking, I can even send it to you, I guess, in the Excel, but I wanna make sure it doesn't get muddled, but I'm happy to do that. And then for those of you that electronically, wanna look at it electronically, you would have the tab below. But those of you who want paper, you can just pull out that one that you're talking about.
Oh, yes, Councilor.
Question, thank you, Mayor. Can I ask you a question about something that's not water or sewer?
Yeah.
On emergency preparedness,
Page what?
39,000, page 9, we budgeted $39,000 for emergency preparedness.
Pardon me, Counselor, 39 is what we've spent,
Or is it
75 is what we're budgeting.
Okay, 75. And then I noticed that there's another expenditure for 25
It's under transient lodging.
is that part of that figure there, or does that represent $100,000 total?
For emergency preparedness, it would be the 75 plus that 25 plus the
What 25?
9 from the TRT plus the 100, I think we settled on for the bowling property. So it's a total of 200
Wait a
that,
minute, we settled on buying that property?
that's what you guys told me to put in the budget.
The budget, it's in the budget,
It's in the
the council
budget, we
decides
said we
to
would
do
buy it, yep.
it. Council hasn't made that decision.
No, absolutely.
Okay, fine. And can you tell me what the marketing then is? What's the marketing?
One of the things that has been talked about, and even I think the council has expressed some interest in having the world marks and the hotels be responsible for their part of making sure emergency preparedness, they're prepared, they have their people prepared. And one of the things we talked about doing is, or that was discussed, was putting an ordinance in place saying that these folks are required to have such and such as part of their, they have to post an evacuation plan, they have to provide all this. The idea of this marketing thing is to have an actual brochure, map, trifold, whatever, once we get the evacuation plan, to provide to the hotels and saying, here you go, you need to start putting these in there, make it part of that, but the initial money is to put that marketing material together to make sure that the hotel stuff happens. And then once you do the initial push on that, then they're just gonna be responsible for keeping it in.
So you're saying this $25,000 is for a trifold?
No, it's the design and it's more than, I don't know what it's going to be. If it doesn't cost 25,000, then you don't spend 25,000.
Kim, is this what other cities have done to work with the hotel industry and tourist facilities?
Well, they've certainly put ordinances in place, that do that, but their chambers and other areas are more actively involved with these, residents and help with providing that information. So, because we don't provide money to chamber, or any kind of marketing tourism place, this is a way to get that covered. And no, I don't know that the brochure will cost, I doubt it will cost 25,000, but, so I can absolutely reduce that number, but
But that there's, legwork and outreach, and there's someone to be hired to do that.
Absolutely.
I would just suggest that if we were gonna do that, we do it, we model it after other cities. You know,
Lincoln City has a great one.
Lincoln City requires it, as part of licensing. So when you get your vacation rental license, you have to agree to
Good idea.
promote, post in the property, you have to post the tsunami evacuation map for the area where the property is located. But those maps are generally available, and what we typically do with them is we just print the map, have it laminated, and we post it on the wall of the property, so. I don't know that we'll spend $25,000, it might be more for an outreach and education of the people that, you know what, we're changing licensing, here's the way it is. But again, council would have to do that, it's not something, it just gives us a way to do something there if we need to get people educated.
Mayor, if I could, and I've addressed this before, I've felt all along that we should pass ordinances that would bring the moteliers into some sort of compliance with emergency preparedness. It seems a big reach to me that we should be spending any money at all on this. It would be the responsibility of the hotelier to do that. What we need to do is to continue what we're doing, and that's purchasing food or emergency supplies, hard items for that event. And I'm really, this pie in the sky stuff is,
It's not pie in the sky.
well,
It's It's
a
needed.
brochure, I mean, a trifold is needed.
There's lots more that's needed.
I think it's really important because if the hotel industry is not complying with helping their people to survive, they're gonna come to the city. And so this is just a way to work with them to give them instruction. They probably don't know what they need to do.
And I would just add to that it's not just the hotels. You go to places and you look and they have the pavement painted with the evacuation of where you need to go, so that the tourists who are here for the day, and if an event happens, they're gonna have no clue where to go. And so proper signage, painted pavement, a brochure or flyer is helpful, but I think public education is important.
It is.
I don't think it should be on just the hotel industry, because not everybody comes in here, stays in a hotel, and so
It
I
would
think
be the
there's
short-term rentals, everybody.
I think there's other outreach beyond just the people who are
Absolutely.
overnighting here.
Absolutely.
I don't wanna leave the impression that I'm against this stuff. Please don't do that, and please don't paint me into that picture. What I'm interested in is an actual plan. When I said pie in the sky, this, it's like we're coming up with ideas as we sit here talking. Our committee should be coming up with a plan, going to the budget committee and saying, here's what we need, here's what it's gonna cost. And,
That's exactly what they're doing.
That's exactly.
I'm sorry, I missed it.
Okay,
I have some questions.
yes,
So I guess we're on page 9 of 31 still. So I'm not, again, it's hard to figure out what line, but before the total materials and services line, I thought we did allocate something from the shore action team.
That was last year.
That was last year. We didn't do anything.
Nothing, there's no more money in your shore action team, it's all.
Not the shore action team, I'm sorry, I got that. You're right. And then where is the contributions for the food bank and stuff, where's that up here?
That is,
One
keep
page.
going line.
Up one page on page 8,
Page 8, okay, sorry, that's,
community support.
Near the top, okay.
and then I do want to question the cost for the sheriffs, which is, what is that?
That's on your page number 9.
Nine, I think it is.
Thank you, Don, thank you, Constance. Where is it?
Page number 9, right about the middle, Lincoln County Sheriff.
Yeah, it's huge, 431, plus we have another, under the tourism related facility, we have sheriff there for another $180,000.
Let me explain that. That is the 1% that Councilor Marcello keeps reminding me about that is put aside for public safety. It's just public safety. It's always been the sheriff line, we could change the name of it, but it's just public safety.
Well, what I'm
So it's whatever you want to.
concerned about is the full, first of all, we haven't agreed to have another sheriff.
Correct.
And so we have budgeted though, over, $600,000.
Correct. The council will be able to make any adjustments after so the budget committee's job, as you guys know, is to recommend these things, to approve a budget that the council will decide ultimately whether or not to fund it the way it's presented.
So
So you-
why did that number balloon in the page 9 to 431?
The 180 is not associated with the sheriff contract, that is public services. I need to change that to public safety to match the TRT
Or what do
ordinance.
you mean by public safety?
It's the way the TRT ordinance is read that 1% goes to public safety.
What would encompass public safety other than the
There
sheriff?
is really no definition of it,
It says law enforcement. If
as
you-
part of it.
Kim and I have gone round and round about this discussion, and when I was on financial advisory, we went round and round on this discussion. I prepared a spreadsheet, I sent it to Kim of how the allocation should be broken down. And really there are 3 categories that fit under the transient lodging taxes. The first category is the money that goes to the general fund. That money should be, it's my opinion, and again, I'm just the one guy, but it's my opinion that there should be no dollars in the transient lodging fund at the end of the year. The money goes to the general fund at whatever the breakdown of the percentages. It goes to the law enforcement category according to the breakdown of percentages, or it goes into tourism and tourist facility. Those 3 categories make up what is the transient lodging fund. This year, we budgeted $1.8 million for transient lodging. That's what Kim is expecting we're gonna get. So based on those numbers, the 2003 allocation said 8% is our transient lodging. And of that 8%, 1 percentage point goes to law enforcement. So that breakdown would be $1.2 million, $1.050 million would go to the general fund, and there would be $150,000 going to the law enforcement category.
I'm estimating 1,800.
Right. So you're estimating for the total transient lodging, you're estimating $1.8 million.
Right.
So let me finish the thought here.
Right.
So we've got that original 8%. It has 2 buckets, general fund and law enforcement.
Correct.
Then in 2017, we added an additional percentage to that amount. And that was when the state said that there has to be a 70-30 split. So 70% of any money that comes in from 2017 on has to go to public tourism promotion and tourism facilities. So that 70-30 split occurs from 2017 on. We raised the transient lodging tax in 2017 to 9.5%. So for 5 years, we were at 9.5%. So the original 8 got carved out, and then there was an extra 1.5% that had this 70-30 split attached to it. From 2020 all the way up till current, we've now gone to a 12%, which means we have the original 8 that's going to law enforcement and general fund. Then we have the 70-30 split. So based on the calculations that I have, the general fund is going to get out of the original grandfathered money, they are gonna get $1.2 million there, but then out of the remainder of the dollars, it's another $300 and some odd thousand. I guess the point that I'm trying to make here is that they really are separate funds, and we should be treating them as separate funds because transient lodging over the years has migrated, and what I fear is happening is we get this, let me look at the number I have here, it's like I did it from 2000 back to current, and the total transient lodging is $16.6 million, of which $1.7 million of that should be in this law enforcement fund. That cannot be touched for any other use unless the council decides to rescind whatever that ordinance was for law enforcement. So that $1.7 million can't be used for anything else. The same thing occurs in water and sewer where you've got capital outlay that has to be used because that's the way the water and sewer funds were set up. And so based on the numbers that I calculated from 2020 current, the general fund should have received $13 million, $13.289 million. Law enforcement should have had $1.7 million in their fund, and the tourist facilities number should be $1.67 million.
And I did some calculations today, my numbers are very different. So we probably should get together.
And this is from when, Bill? These numbers, this 1.7 for law
Because I
enforcement,
have actually what was
1.6.
received, not what was estimated.
Is this a one, this is
I took what you
1 year?
published on the website.
But that was only what was received.
Correct, so I took the receipt
Yeah, so
numbers
that's,
and
I
did the
should
calculations.
verify the older numbers are right because a lot of those transfers didn't happen.
So
So those numbers you were just talking about, those are just in the last year?
the last 20, no, so for this year, if we were to take the budgeted number, where I estimate we should have a law enforcement number of $150,000, that's what should, based on the budget of 1.8 million, $150,000 of that should be earmarked for law enforcement.
Okay.
There should also be $419,000 that are the tourist percentage. All the rest of it goes to the general fund, but those two little buckets are the two buckets that we don't seem to be able to get right, and I'm worried about the tourist bucket because I keep hearing about all of these very large organizations who are now starting to file lawsuits against cities who are not using the state's tourist money to promote tourism and tourist facilities. And so, I think it would be very easy for us to go back and support the numbers that we've spent, because that's what we are, we're a tourist city. But we just need to all be very cognizant that those three buckets do exist, and we should be treating that money as it shouldn't be treated as transient lodging money, it should be treated as general fund money, law enforcement money, and tourist money.
And along those lines, let me ask a question, Kim, if I could, Mayor. On page 16, on the transient room fund tax resources, the proposed is about 7.9 million for this year, and for the next year. And this year, it was only 3.3 million, and the year before that, 2.4 million.
Which, I'm sorry.
Are you talking about the
Page 14 of 31.
mind you that the numbers that I'm working from are not audited numbers. So I had to take how much we have in total in the bank right now and figure out how we can apportion it with the larger money going to TRT because I believe there's a larger problem there.
And that's fundamentally the problem is, you know, there's an adjustment that was made on the current budget for $3 million or something like that that was coming in, and I'm just concerned that we don't know what that number is, and we're bringing in this number out of the air for what we think should be in that account, but I would rather leave it where it was as opposed to moving it around and just because we think that's the right number until our auditors have figured it out.
Oh, that's fine. I don't have to put any money on it.
Okay, we need to move forward.
But the
That
problem
doesn't
is,
answer my question.
this needs a bigger, this needs a CPA to look at because we don't have any audits.
I think, Rick, the number is an adjustment number. If you look at her budget number, there was a $3 million or approximately $3 million transfer to the general fund. That's where you're seeing that huge bump.
Okay, and that transfer was from where?
It came from transient lodging to the general fund.
Yeah, I just
Which
moved
page
it out
is
there.
that, Bill, please?
That was under the transient lodging page. On the original, it was on page 14.
I don't
And
see
on-
transfer to general fund.
It's transfer to general fund, it's like the third line item from the bottom,
Okay, yeah.
to correct historical. And I just I'm concerned about correcting historical when we don't know what it really is supposed to be.
But the new handout is a different number.
It
Yeah,
This
it
one
isn't,
today.
yeah, that's a different number based on the audit that I did of what I think our numbers should be.
So let's move forward. We need to move on to public comment right now.
Mhm.
So I'll open the floor for public comment hearings at this time.
Pardon me, Mayor, I'm not sure we're there. I don't know where you guys are. We've got 10 minutes to either approve the budget or schedule another meeting. And I don't know where everybody is.
So I would just say that for me, I can take this budget knowing that the council has the overriding authority to spend or not to spend. And I believe we have an ordinance already in place about purchases that are over a certain amount that have to be approved by the council anyway. So the budget provides a good framework for us to work from, but I think that the next year for the budget committee, I think we need to really kind of tighten this up and figure out what we wanna do
And
earlier on.
Between
So I
now
can
and then,
support
we'll
it the
have
way that it
auditing
is.
support.
there's still a lot of work to be done on it, but we did it.
Till we get clean audit, until we get our audits, it's hard to know where our CPA's come down.
So I have another big concern I brought up last time. The amount we're spending on the city engineer is huge. And,
We're getting projects done, Fran, and we've never had that happen before.
yeah,
And we need to budget it.
huge. So is that where we wanna be?
On what page are you on?
Just a second.
Councilor, I gave you guys an updated transfer schedule in the packet today that shows, the transfers, not the allocations, the cost allocations.
That's on page 21 at the very end.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's, alright, thank you.
it's this,
Okay, this is the thing.
The 757,000.
Got it. Thank you.
We don't have to spend it, but if we have it budgeted and it's covered within our different areas, we need to be cognizant of the work that needs to be done around our town.
Okay.
So are we in agreement that we can open the public hearing at this point and move on? And
So I just wanna understand, the law enforcement line item in two places, that's over $600,000. And I wanna understand this, engineering consulting.
And we don't have to spend any of that. It's in the budget, it's covered financially through each
But
fund.
we never allocate, the engineer is under, the city council doesn't have any control of what, costs go into the engineering, that's work orders that.
We do have control over it if we want to limit what we're gonna do in the city work-wise. If we want to shut everything down.
Well, and you have the authority once we get to a certain amount on a project, so if we say we're gonna need it, but we look at our project list, like for example, the bridges, you knew you wanted to do the bridges, well, I can have him put task orders for what he thinks it's gonna cost to do, the engineering. And we can do an estimate on that, but once you approve a project, or you approve a budget for a project, then it's about what it comes, what it takes to get there, I guess. And I thought that I understood the concern wasn't how much, but whether or not we hired an employee or continue to contract with a firm.
Procedurally, so if you budget the 757,000 for engineering, if you decide, you budget award, whatever it is, and you decide you need it somewhere else, is there a procedure for moving like a line item transfer? Say you had extra in the consulting and engineering, can you move the line item?
Not really.
Within the materials and services, so if you're looking at like city administration budget, I mean, one is, so instead of having so much money in materials and services, you can make probably by resolution transfers to another line item.
So it's by resolution, nothing else.
And that's a simple thing, that doesn't require supplemental budget, but you do because it is a line item, that's why there's the difference between the blue. The blue is just us, we can do anything we want, but once it gets into a line item, then it has to be used by resolution.
Okay, so are we gonna schedule another budget meeting?
I think we need to.
I don't think
We need to move forward now. We need to open the public hearing. I've opened the public hearing. Is there any public that wants to speak on the budget?
There is nobody. There you go.
Okay, I'll
Just
close-
Gina, I'm sure she doesn't want to.
Okay, I'm gonna close the public hearing then at this time. Okay, at this time, I need a motion to approve the budget as submitted with corrections tonight.
I'll make that motion to accept it as presented.
Is there a second?
I will second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the budget as presented. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
Yeah.
Yes.
I just want to say thank you to the counselor for making this information out about the engineer. It, just in my mind, makes me want to take a real close look at the engineering reports from here on out, and I appreciate that. And also Councilor Marcella for pointing out that we are in charge of this budget as we go down the road.
That's right.
We're just going to have to be very cautious about it.
Absolutely.
I would just like to quickly point out that during the AP review, you all have a chance to see the bills as they're coming.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the budget as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion is carried. Thank you. So our next meeting will be on June 25th, June 25th at 5 o'clock, for a special meeting of the council to.
Urban renewal is at 5.
Oh,
The city council will be at 5:30, or immediately following, so if the
Oh,
urban
okay.
renewal finishes at 5:15, we'll jump right into the city council.
okay.
25th.
June 25th.
Is that the last details?
It's Tuesday.
a special meeting.
A special meeting, yeah.
Is the urban renewal, is it the budget or is it the?
Just the urban renewal agency, so you don't have to be there. You guys are done.
Done.
Thank you.
So can you make that the meeting following, so we don't have to.
Absolutely, so if you finish at 5:15, then this will go right into it. I'll send you guys calendar invites. Gina, I'm gonna hang up with Teresa to the regular meeting.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great.